all of this with the global warming and that, a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay? It's a hoax, a lot of it.
The climate hysteria hoax. No, it's a hoax. The whole thing is it's so crazy. Within 300 years, we're going to gain 1/100th of an inch in the ocean. And have a little more beachfront property. It's going to be a terrible thing. The oceans are going to rise 1/8 of an inch over the next 300 years. We'll have a little bit more beachfront property. That's not the worst thing in the world. The ocean's going to rise in 400 years 1/8 of an inch, and you'll have more seafront property, right, if that happens. I said, is that good or bad? I said, isn't that a good thing?
As Hurricane Milton makes landfall, it is important to remember that that is how the Republican candidate for president thinks about the forces that are intensifying these storms. Donald Trump is so far out on the fringes of climate conspiracy that he even denies the existence of climate phenomena that Republicans accepted decades ago. Remember back in the George H. Bush administration, the federal government took bold action to fix the hole in the ozone layer caused by harmful pollutants called CFCs? Remember that? Decades later, decades after that, Donald Trump continued to rail against those ozone-reducing regulations because they resulted in a ban on his favorite hairspray.
You can't use hairspray because hairspray is going to affect the ozone. I want to use hairspray. They say don't use hairspray, it's bad for the ozone. So I'm sitting in this concealed apartment, this concealed unit. You know, I really do live in a very nice apartment, right? But it's sealed. It's beautiful. I don't think anything gets out. And I'm not supposed to be using hairspray.
Trump has a million of these. He thinks windmills somehow cause cancer. They don't. He thinks Democrats want to replace all your regular windows with tiny windows. They do not. Trump has been repeating this nonsense for so long, it's hard not to become kind of numb to it. But a decade into the Trump era of the Republican Party, Trump's acolytes are now taking climate conspiracies to even greater extremes. For the past week, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene has repeatedly promoted the baseless conspiracy that the federal government is secretly controlling the weather. She keeps repeating this claim, doubling and tripling down on it in just the past week alone. And now it's being amplified on right-wing media.
Has the government figured out how to build a storm into a superstorm that will destroy everything in its path, and then how to aim it right for where they want to aim it? It just happens to miss South Florida, where all the Democrats live.
Just so happens. Things have spun so wildly out of control here that even some Republicans are now feeling the need to push back. Florida Republican Congressman Carlos Jimenez posted on X, anyone who thinks they can control the weather needs to have their head examined. North Carolina Republican Senator Thom Tillis told his supporters in an email, the last thing the victims of Hurricane Helene need right now is political posturing, finger-pointing, or conspiracy theories. Even Florida Governor Ron, I'm not a global warming person, DeSantis, has felt the need to push back.
We live in an era where if you put out crap online, you can get a lot of people to share it and you can monetize that. That's just the way it is. But if you're hearing something that's just outrageous, just know in the state of Florida, none of that stuff would ever fly.
And yet, none of that has been enough to stop the flood of conspiracies coming out of MAGA land. Today, North Carolina Republican Congressman Chuck Edwards sent a press release specifically aimed at conspiracies concerning Chimney Rock State Park, which is a park in his district. These are quotes from that actual press release from an actual member of Congress. Hurricane Helene was not geoengineered by the government to seize and access lithium deposits in Chimney Rock. Local officials have confirmed the government is not seizing Chimney Rock. Local officials are not abandoning search and rescue efforts to bulldoze over Chimney Rock. And it goes on and on and on and on like that. Today, President Biden addressed this wave of insane conspiracy theories and directly called out the MAGA politicians responsible for promoting them.
These lies are un-American, and there is simply no place for them. Not now, not ever. Former President Trump has led this onslaught of lies. Now the claims are getting even more bizarre. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman from Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's so stupid. It's got to stop.
Joining me now is the only member of the United States Congress who is also a meteorologist, Representative Eric Sorensen of Illinois. Representative Sorensen, thank you for joining me tonight. I wonder, both as a U.S. congressman and a meteorologist, what you make of the absolutely paranoid, baseless, insane conspiracy theories that the government can control the weather.
It's amazing, Alex. It's good to be with you. First things first, I'm thinking about the folks that are in harm's way in Florida today and tonight, as it is night. The hurricane has made a landfall, and now these are the most dangerous times for people. But look, we have to make sure that we have a country where we look up to the smartest people, the meteorologists at the National Hurricane Center, National Weather Service, because it is essential that these remain the authority on such life-threatening events, that they don't get pushed aside and force people to make poor decisions. And it is unconscionable to me, who worked as a meteorologist on broadcast television for 22 years, that now we actually have elected leaders that are not just leading Americans astray, they're leading their own constituents astray.
Yeah, it reminds me, I mean, I know my colleague Chris Hayes was talking about this too, of the COVID pandemic, when at the service of a political agenda, an anti-vax, anti-science agenda, Republicans dissuaded their supporters, their allies, their voters from getting life-saving COVID vaccines. Again, putting politics above humanity. And here you have politicians once again trying to champion a political agenda over the safety of their own constituents. I mean, I got to bring up the fact, Congressman, that if Trump is reelected, part of the plan here, as outlined in Project 2025, is to dismantle NOAA and to privatize the National Weather Service. Just as a meteorologist, what does that mean to you?
Well, I serve on the Space Science and Technology Committee in Congress, where we've got some of the brightest minds working at NASA, working at NOAA to make sure that we are learning more about this science than we have in the past so that we can learn from our mistakes. But look, if these things go away, one of the things that the National Weather Service, it is so trusted for those folks, especially when we talk about Chimney Rock, or we think about the folks that are down in Bradenton, Florida tonight. They have heard from these experts on what to do. But what happens if now we have a populace that doesn't understand what to believe? That is to their point on the other side exactly what they want to do, because it's the same thing, Alex, is what you just said about the pandemic. Look, there were so many people, my own neighbors, that made poor decisions. But here's the thing. If I got mad at my neighbors, it wouldn't help solve the problem. They had bad data that was coming into this equation. It was Tucker Carlson that was giving them the bad data, and then they were making a bad conclusion. It goes over and over again because now they're realizing on the other side that that was effective. And so now they want to do it and politicize the weather.
The one thing, I mean, it is also beside a complete moral and ethical lapse. It is also cutting off your own nose to spite your face, to undermine the sort of ability of NOAA and the National Weather Service to predict historic monster storms that affect a lot of part of the country where there happen to be Republicans, also Democrats. But, Florida's a red state. Why would you want to put the people of Florida in harm's way to a greater degree by not getting accurate data to help them predict what might be coming next? I mean, I effectively feel like defunding these agencies would do just that.
Right. Or even the fact that we left Washington, D.C. with a short-term continuing resolution with a lower projected funding amount for FEMA, knowing that Helene was going to come into Florida, Georgia. And now 2 weeks later, here we are with another catastrophic hurricane that is hitting Florida. What's next? We need Congress to do its job, and the folks at FEMA who are doing the Lord's work tonight and in the days decades to come. We need to make sure that they're supported. But instead, now we have these great workers, these federal workers that are being threatened because of conspiracies that are on the internet. It is this absolute destruction of the good communication that we need more people to be connected to.
Illinois Congressman and the only meteorologist in the House of Representatives, Eric Sorensen, thank you for your time tonight, sir. I really appreciate
Good to be
you.
with you, Alex.